When I started my balloon business 10 years ago, I remember feeling like it was inconceivable to make enough money to live on. It just felt unrealistic. Not only have I done that 10 years later, I'm fully employed by my balloon business, but I now know that in this industry, there are people running businesses on a scale that I could never even fathom. And they're on this episode. This is a panel discussion with $1 million business owners. So not only have these guests employed other people, but they have grown their businesses to a scale that not many have done anywhere in the world. So I am so grateful that they've taken the time to come on and share who to hire first, what's the biggest mistake they've ever made, what's the next step that some of us should be taking if we're looking to grow. So whether you're just starting out or you've been in balloons a long time, I think this is a great conversation because it just shows the sky is the limit and you can grow your business as large as you'd like. So a huge thank you to today's guests. I will let them introduce themselves, but they don't have to share any of this information and they have nothing to gain from sharing it. So I'm so grateful that they came on the podcast to let us in behind the scenes on their $1 million balloon businesses. Let's jump in. Welcome to our $1 million business panel discussion. I'm really excited. Let's start with introductions. We have Aaron, Linda, Brian, and potentially Chris Potts, who's trying to get into the recording studio. But for those of you that are on right now, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Aaron, let's start with you.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Erin. I own Young and Wild Balloon Company, and I'm located in Columbus, Ohio. And I have been in business for almost 7 years.
Linda, how about you?
Yes. Hi, guys. I am in Jacksonville, Florida, and I have the balloon and event construction company, and we are at 25 years.
Well, I didn't know it was that. I mean, I did know, but that's so long when you say it. And Brian.
I'm Brian Getz. I'm in Indianapolis with Bonsai Balloons. Christina, my wife, and I are the owners there, and I am the one that talks the most, so I'm the
Yeah.
one that's here.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. None of you really sell anything on the side. You have nothing to gain from coming on and sharing your knowledge. So I really, really appreciate it. And you each have episodes independently. So we will link to those if people want kind of like your full origin story or some nitty gritty conversations. But today I want to focus on the size of your businesses. That $1 million mark is insane. It's insane. When you break down the math of what you actually need to do a month in sales to hit that, it's like crazy town to me. So without, again, doing your whole lifelong story, I'm wondering, how did you get to be so big? Like, was it time? Was it a purchase? Was it team? Like, if you could kind of boil it all down, how did you get to be the size that you are?
I love ice cream. The other type of size. So yeah, so my wife and I had Pretty Funny Balloons because she's pretty and I'm funny, and so we had our own company. Uh, and I've been doing it for 22 years. When we got married, we combined our companies, and we were doing around 200,000 total a year, doing about 100,000 of decor, 100,000 of entertainment
And I feel
for our
like
bros.
those are very relatable numbers. Like I just saw in a Facebook group, it was like, what's the most someone can do on their own? And everyone was kind of like 100-ish, maybe 150 if you have a little bit of help. But like, I feel like there's a lot of full timers in that 100 to 200
Yeah.
area. So I like that you kind of threw that out there. What like propelled you to, 10
Yeah.
times that?
So ours is kind of unique. There was somebody in our area who was running a company. He didn't delegate. He worked 16 hours every day. He was the only one that trusted himself to make his garlands. He was the only one that trusted himself to do the web stuff. He had, 3 or 4 employees and his wife, but he was very focused, burned the candle at both ends, and he predictably burned himself out to the point where he hated it, even though he had a business that was doing $575,000, or at least he told me.
Mm.
I think he was true on that part. But yeah, he was doing pretty good volume in 2019, but he just wanted to never touch a balloon again. He was so tired of it. And so he was ready to sell it for a song.
Okay.
So, and I didn't have money lying around to buy a business that size, but they sold it to us for $60,000. So we
You sold
got,
a $500,000 business for 60 grand?
yeah. So of
Wow.
course now he's got by seller's remorse and he hates us and he's a jerk, and he won't be listening to this, don't worry. But yeah, we just don't talk to him, and yeah. So, but he did sell that to us, and so we suddenly grew overnight.
Yeah, so you bought businesses to kind of build this growth.
Yeah, so and
Is
I
that
bought
kind
one
of
other local competitor, I bought their stock. They were moving out of state, wanted a fresh start, and, so I bought and then I got their, Balloon Planet franchise as well, so that was
Oh,
nice. But the key, this is maybe a theme that maybe you guys, would agree with or not, we can chat, is, that at a certain point you get to that 150, where you're doing everything you can do with one person, maybe two people, and you have to figure out, hey, am I going to take the path where I focus in, I stay fairly small, fairly compact, and I pitch myself as a luxury brand, or am I going to be the, hey, I have everything. I can deliver it anytime you want. I can make it all. I've got a large crew and we're just going to go nuts.
yeah. Aaron,
Yeah.
what was your path?
I opened in 2019, and so I had a little bit of a following, not a ton, when COVID hit. And through COVID, I just continued to grow through, I'm sure you remember like the party poles in people's yards and all of the things. That's like really when I started growing. And then I opened an outlet in 2021, and I was one of the first, I would say I was like one of the first like 75, maybe even lower than that, Alphalet locations to open. And through opening Alphalet, I really expanded my business. I don't know that adding marquees would be like as helpful today as it was then,
Yeah.
but I was the only person in my area for several years that offered marquee letters. And so that really grew my business. I mean, from like 21 to 22, we grew like 200%. Like it was just like year over year, like doubling and more than doubling our sales. And through that, I just gained more and more client loyalty and expanded our offerings. And I don't know. So that's kind of how I did it. I don't
Uh,
know that there was any like big, like, I think adding Alphalet, adding a service that goes hand in hand with the balloons was really helpful. Um, and it was all about the timing with that. I don't know that it would be that helpful today.
okay.
Um, but at the time, it was like the it thing to have. And
Well, and Blenda, how did you scale, because you just got marquees? So that wasn't part of your strategy. So what was your game over 25 years? How did you get to that size?
We had full marquees that we had made, but not we just got LED marquees.
Okay. Okay.
So we did those during COVID or right before, like that was our end, and we definitely capitalized off of having the letters that we had,
Okay.
that we have. So by far, but we um started I would say the biggest attribute to scaling for me is hiring. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would hire more and I would hire people that were way smarter than me and pay
Oh, yeah.
them.
Okay, so that's my next question, though, and we'll start with you, Blenda. Who would you hire first? If you are in that $100 to $200,000 range, say, let's be me. It's mostly me. I have someone that inflates. I have someone doing my books. Like no real employees that are coming 9 to 5. Like, who do I hire first?
I truly believe in hiring somebody to do the things that you don't like to do. So wherever your passion is, definitely keep that your passion. If it's talking to the customers, if it's sales, if it's inflating, um, d- hire somebody to do what you don't want to do. However, and since COVID, I've had somebody that does sales for me. And so I rarely generate an invoice. And so I have found that that's extremely helpful. We used Dubsado as our thing, and they had a little Spotify um, recap of the year, and it said we replied to one of the items it did X amount of customers in less than an hour. And
Oh,
so
cool.
truly that's really important in today's Amazon world. And so it would be between sales and doing the task that you don't want to do.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Aaron, what about you? Who was the first person that you would hire, or that I should hire?
The first person I ever hired did inflating. And then the second person did what Blenda's saying. What we have in my company is called our operations coordinator. Her name's Taylor. You've met her on FaceTime.
Mhm.
But she does all of our leads. She handles all of our leads and sends our proposals and our contracts, and she makes our schedule, and she manages our team of like we call them baller installers, our like install team. So I really do shine when I'm client facing, but I realized that client facing via email is not the best version of me. Client facing on the job is the best version of me because I would rather step in front of a train than sit in front of my computer all day. I cannot. I just
Mhm.
need to be I need to be up and moving and with people and all of that. And so having Taylor step in and do all of that stuff for me has been extremely helpful. And before her we had someone else that did it as well. So we've had someone in that role for several years, and it's really freed me up mentally to learn the new way to do things, or try to hone my skills, or just do other things. Yay, Chris is
There,
finally
Yay!
Chris.
here.
If you could boil it all down to one thing, Chris, what's the key to growing really, really big?
Um, Definitely when we got staff. I mean, we first got our van, that was a big move, and then as soon as we got staff, that changed it for us. Now,
Well,
mentally, we took more jobs because we knew that if we got the job, we didn't have to do it ourselves physically. We had staff that could also help out. So it was
yeah.
definitely getting staff.
Well, perfect segue, because this question that we're on now is, who was the first person that you hired or that you would recommend hiring?
Okay. Definitely when we brought people in for the hiring process and we interviewed them, the main thing was availability. They had to
Oh,
have open availability, and they didn't really care if it was 10 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours. That's the ultimate employee. It's tough to get somebody like that. But if you start getting people that, okay, I can work Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but only till 2 o'clock. And, if I do a Thursday, it can just be till noon. It just gets too tricky to kind of do that. So open availability is the first thing.
yeah.
And then, if they get excited about balloons, then they're a hire, and then we can train
Awesome.
them.
Awesome. And Brian, last one. Who's the first person that you would hire?
Um, it's got to, so first off, I would delegate before I hire, delegate the bookkeeping because we suck at it. Delegate the AdWords because we suck at it. Delegate some of the marketing stuff.
Yeah, website. Yeah,
So
totally.
those are things that don't have to be in your organization, and chances are they're not. I can pay my systems person to learn AdWords for the next 6 months. I'd rather pay Blenda's son to do it, which is what we had a meeting earlier today to do. So first, delegate the things that you can, so you don't have to learn how to do all of that. Then, I think it probably makes most sense for most people to get a production/delivery person. But after you've got that, then the thing that everybody wants to hold on to, including Chris, who I learned everything in my business, I learned from Chris. The thing that everybody wants to hold on to so tight is that sales. And the moment you're able to delegate that sales role, it is just so freeing because you don't have to be at your computer all the time. You don't have the
Yeah.
stress of, I'm doing the delivery, but then I need to get back to reply to an inane question about colors.
Well, I
And
agree, because
yeah,
that is one of the areas where it's not an employee. I've hired out my sales to a contractor, someone who can do this for lots of companies. And she's so fast on on the, our requests that come through 17 hats, that like the other day I just got an invoice notification on my phone, and it was a $2,000 baby shower that I didn't even know what it was. I was like, what is this event? So like, knowing that it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't touch that thing. I didn't have to talk to the person. And my assistant just paid for herself for the next 2 months with this one job. So that really is quite magical. Cool. Okay.
Mhm.
I have another question, and you don't all have to answer it. I am just curious if any of you have stories or would like to share like a significant mistake you've made in your business. Are there any stories where you have like really effed it up bad? And how did you make a comeback?
Go for it. I'll be the sacrificial lamb. When we bought the company, and I've sometimes been crummy at getting my taxes all sorted out, but I set aside the money and you go, it'll work out. You write off so much that you don't have that much in taxes. Well, we bought the company in end of 2020, and 2021 and 2022, I just took that aspect of, if I pay a 5% fine, I'll get to the taxes eventually. I did a poor job of keeping track of all of the receipts and all of that, and it's just a different beast when you're suddenly growing way bigger. And
Mm.
I said, we're making all this money. It was 2020. It'll be fine. And then I finally got with my accountant and I sent him all the stuff and we went through all of it. And he sent me an email and said, for 2020, 2021 and 2022, your total tax bill is $121,000.
Oh,
Oh my God.
And I had about 30,000 that I could get. And I was in a Costco, and I'm just looking at the totals, and it's 30,000 here, 20,000 here, and I'm just going, I don't have this, and I have failed my wife, my little daughter.
Yeah.
I don't know what yeah, people have
Mm.
jumped off of bridges for less. I did not get depressed or anything, but
What did you do?
I called my folks, and they are financially sound. They're very frugal and scrimp and saved for years, and now are successful enough that I was able to say, "Can I borrow money?" And it was pulling teeth trying to get the money to buy Bonsai back in the beginning. They wanted every bit of paperwork. They're so thorough to try, and I'm trying to convince them that 60,000 is a good deal for a $500,000 company, and they wouldn't have it. And I ended up getting a bank loan for that. I called him up, and within a day, Dad was like, "Yeah, we got you." And so
That's
we
incredible.
borrowed $82,000, and
I thought you were gonna say like it was a mistake or something. So you had to just pay it
we
all.
paid
There
it
was
off.
no.
We paid it off in a year and a half. We scrimped, we saved, we didn't spend any stupid money, and then I called up
I'm
Elizabeth
like
and I
gonna
said,
cry.
yeah. I called up Elizabeth. I said, "Hey, what can you look over our books? Because we need somebody to do it right." We had another crappy bookkeeper in between. We had an out-of-state person who just didn't know what they were doing that also contributed to all of this. But we went to Elizabeth, a free commercial again for Elizabeth Fiore,
Yeah.
and we said, "Hey, what can we do here moving forward?" And she's like, they're just on top of everything moving forward. And they said, "Do you want us to look back over what you had?" And yeah, sure. You know, if you can get something back, if we did something wrong, it turned out that they had overcounted a lot of our income. They had double counted when it was invoiced and when it was paid, and it turned out that we ended up getting a refund total of around 40 or 50,000 back.
Wow.
Uh, 18,000 of which was tied up in the ether. This was a year ago. It's been tied up for a year. We just got notification from Elizabeth
Whoa.
yesterday that we're getting $18,500 coming back during the slow season, is going to be deposited in the next 6 to 8 weeks from the
Well,
government, who just is understaffed right now on it.
I like that you shared that because I mean, like, I have always under the impression that to become $1 million business, you have to have all your ducks in a row and know exactly what you're doing and have this plan. And I mean, thanks for being honest that it's just like you don't always, and sometimes you do make mistakes. Does anyone else have something? Anyone want to go after that?
I win, but
I
I
know.
I had nothing to that realm, but I do think that as you're growing,
sorry.
I just think that it's important to know where your tax bracket is, and I think you should know
Yeah.
that early because I think a lot of people do not so much bracket, but how you're going to file so that you can make sure you're doing it the right
Yeah,
way.
and most people have a trajectory that goes a little shallower than buy a
Straight
huge
up.
competitor and not know what you're doing.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we did. It worked out.
And I think
Yeah.
that I've held on to
Um,
some employees for a little too long. So as far as a mistake, I think it is that if I could go back and do it again, I would probably work on that culture a little bit faster,
Yeah.
versus keeping people that are not loving balloons, like Chris said.
Yeah.
mhm.
Glenda, I feel like I can relate with that too. I feel like one of my biggest mistakes is trying to make this work for someone or for employees that didn't want to work for it, you know? So I think that's been one of my biggest mistakes is just trying to adjust the business to work for people instead of finding the right people to work for the business.
And I think part of what happens in this industry is we're all creatives and we're not leaders and accountants and all the things as far as the whole business world. And so as you're leading people, it's not natural for a lot of people. It's not natural for me. I have no desire to be a manager,
Mhm.
and you're forced into it because you're
Yeah.
basically
Maybe
You're
not
forced
though.
into it.
I just hired a general manager
Ooh.
that's exciting.
because
Yeah.
I don't
Tell
want
us
to
more.
manage the people. I'm hired, so I hired a general manager. She starts in a couple weeks. And I just didn't want to have to manage people anymore. I wanted to do more of the fun stuff and less of the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day annual reviews, the coaching, all of that. So, yeah, I have someone else coming in to do that. I thought I would have to salary them. They're going to actually work hourly, which is wonderful. And I'm really excited for that. Really, really
That's cool.
excited for that.
That's really cool.
So we'll have
Congratulations.
so now
Yeah.
we have like a weekly, I scheduled them out already, our like weekly leadership meetings, which it'll be me, Taylor, our operations coordinator, and then our new general manager meeting weekly and going through, we have like a whole system of like our agenda for the week and all the things we need to tackle. So I'm
That's
excited.
really cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Quick pause because if you're running a small business and you feel like your brain is holding open 1,000 tiny tabs, this is for you. One of the biggest shifts that I've made in my business and that I've seen successful decorators make over and over is moving from doing everything manually to having a real system behind the scenes. That's why 17 Hats is our exclusive YouTube sponsor for 2026. 17 Hats puts your inquiries, contracts, invoices, questionnaires, emails, and workflows all in one place so you're not chasing clients, forgetting follow ups, or reinventing the wheel every single time someone books. Instead of asking, did I send that and what comes next? Your business just works. The best part, it doesn't make your business feel more robotic. It actually frees you up to do things that you're meant to do, like be creative, work with clients, spend time with your family, and all with less stress. If you're ready to stop duct taping systems together and start operating like a real business, head to 17hats.com to check it out. Once you have a system, everything else gets easier. All right, let's jump back in. Okay, real estate. We'll start with Chris. Chris, you're being so quiet. I need to pick your brain a
Yeah, I
little more.
know.
You own your building, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You've mentioned you own your building. Glenda, you own your building. Brian
Yes.
just bought a building. Aaron, any plans to buy any buildings?
I currently lease, and to buy my building, I would have to buy the complex,
Okay.
which is a lot of buildings.
Yes.
So I'm
But
not
I do feel
currently.
like that's a trend. I do feel like large businesses seem to buy the building that they're in. And is that, I mean, Chris, is that part of your financial puzzle or it just happened and it made sense?
Yeah. I mean, we had kind of lost our lease at the other place and we needed to expand anyway. So we were looking for other places and we found a great location. It was 3,000 square foot and we just bought it, had a lot of property. So we ended up just buying it and then putting on another 3,000 square foot addition with a kind of a huge garage, drive in, drive out. So it's a perfect property for us, the greatest location. So, uh, yeah, we always, felt that if we're going to be in it for the long haul, to spend money on rent, I think, wasn't the best option for us. So yeah, buying is, when you pay a mortgage, it's a lot easier than paying rent. It's more money, but you get to keep it at the end. So
Yeah.
it's, I think, a smart move if you're going to be in it for the long haul. If you think, yeah, we're definitely going to be doing this for the next 5, 10 years, you know, and it's a nice piece of property, you should really think about buying it. And I would really welcome, if I was in a complex that maybe had 4 or 5 other businesses and it was in a great location, I would consider buying that. Uh,
We'll
yeah,
see.
No
that'd be a good
pressure,
move.
Aaron.
I
Yeah,
You're the
know.
right.
I'm like,
landlord now.
please.
We're the larger companies, but in that medium range, it's really hard to generate enough profit to put it into that real estate. You know, it's hard to be a medium sized, and by that I'd say 150 to 500. That's a really tough range to be in, and fortunately we leapfrogged it. But yeah, I don't know that it's a realistic expectation for the average balloon person to have their own space,
Yeah.
even a
Yeah.
small one.
Well, and
There's
that
nothing wrong
actually
with renting.
that leads to another question, which is borrowing money or getting money. Um, Brian, you shared that you asked your parents for a loan when you were buying your first business. I think some of these things, like, buying a building or even like investing in a marquee franchise, or I mean, maybe you don't want to bootstrap and you just want to have the business and start it. Like, what ways have you gotten money, or have you all just kind of grown slowly over time and cash, flowed your business?
Yeah, ours was just slow growth, and we
Okay.
did a great job saving in the beginning. And we had a place with very low rent, and we just started saving money and then just put all the money back into the business, and just grew from there. And eventually, it took us a while, but again, Sarah, you had that one podcast that said to really make money out there is you have to take your balloon money and then reinvest that into something else. And you were talking
Yeah.
about in real estate and you got involved in that. And you know, we took your lead there and we also again got in, besides buying the building, we, got into more real estate. So um it's
I thought
tough
you're
to
taking
get
my
there.
investing advice. Who
Yeah,
I own no real estate, but I
no,
do.
but
I try to
you
save a lot.
do,
I mean,
yeah.
there's no pension coming at the end of a balloon business, and like
Correct.
my business is 150,000 in sale. Like, I'm not retiring on the sale of my balloon business. Like, I think if you have a
Right.
business that's at 150, you'd be lucky to sell it for 50. That's just my
Oh,
personal
right.
opinion.
Yeah.
So that's just gonna be like a little rainy day fund at the end of my career. That's not gonna be retirement money. So I think,
Right.
definitely investing. There's lots of ways to do that, but
And
yeah.
Sarah, I don't think anybody's retiring on the sale of their balloon business. Even Chris, like Chris and I and Bud, we can sell our building at the end, but
Well, that's why I was curious about the real
yeah,
estate.
the
Mhm.
the value of a bunch of inflators, a Rolodex full of clients, and
Yeah.
a bunch of used balloons, or non-retail balloons. I mean, you're you're trying to find somebody. We've had this conversation before,
Mhm.
which is you're trying to find somebody who's interested in going into I'm going to buy a balloon business instead of building it myself, and I've got $150,000 to pay for all this equipment. There's not a lot of people that are
No.
able to do that. So the building is the asset that you
Right. Well,
can
and in our last
use like
episode,
that.
we kind of had that conversation of like, in order for your business to really have the value, it has to run itself. And if it's running itself, then why not just take your owner's draw? Let it run itself and
Right.
be 100 years old and let your manager do everything. So, Aaron, it sounds like you're kind of on a really good path for
I
that.
just gotta buy a building, I guess.
Buy the building, hire the manager, and you're golden.
Yeah.
Oh, eat bonbons on the beach. That's my plan.
Amazing, amazing. Does anybody have like a rock solid exit plan?
No.
I
I
have
mean,
no
Chris, you've been
desire to.
thinking about it. Oh, sorry. Chris has been
Yeah.
talking to me about it a little bit. Go
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Glenda, you have no desire to stop working?
No. I
Yep.
have the desire to hire a manager so that
Mhm.
I can manage from afar and keep
Yeah,
doing
that's
the
my yeah.
yeah.
That's my exact plan also, is to get a really good manager who's very into the business, maybe cut them in with some sort of commission so they have a great work ethic, and then just take the owner's draw. I mean, that's the only way to make money. Brian's correct. Nobody's going to pay you what your business is worth. Even if you're making $1 million, you'd be lucky to get 100,000 for your business. So
Yeah.
you might as well just take a draw. I mean, and again, if you can do even $600,000, you could probably take a good $75,000 draw, but and pay your manager and all your staff, and that would be great. Because right, we're
Yeah.
not getting a pension, so
I
that's
mean,
our
I don't
exit
think
plan.
anyone is anymore, so it's not like we're the rare ones, like teachers, I don't even know if they get a pension
Teachers and
anymore.
government, right?
Yeah, right, right.
I want to
Do
go
any
back to
of
the real
you oh, sorry,
estate.
go ahead.
Can I go back to the real estate really quick?
Yeah.
I have a unique story behind mine, and I've been I was looking for one of my landlords I actually knew from high school, that I rented space from, and he was a real estate person, and so he had been looking for a place. I looked at a nice handful of places with him for about 5 years, so it wasn't instant, but I was able to purchase the building. It was a repossessed building and he paid cash for it. So it was owner finance. So if you think that you can't own a building, there's very, very creative ways to own real estate. And so I had moved on from renting from him because I needed a larger space and I was in like a warehouse storage like area with an office when I moved from there. And so I was paying maybe 14 or 1500 a month. But whenever I purchased the building, it was $1,200 for 5 years. I paid $60,000 and it was paid off in 5 years. And if you Zillowed it now, it's over 300,000.
Wow.
Hmm.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
And it was just there you got to get creative and you got to want it.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about wanting it. Because some days I want it, and some days I'm like, "I'm really tired. I don't know that I want this anymore." But, like, I mean, Blenda, Chris, you've been at this, 25, 30 years, like, I mean, no one here is a rookie. What do you do either annually, it could be like a goal-setting thing, or maybe it's like a daily thing, like, how do you stay in that zone of, like, wanting it? Because there are days where I'm just like, "Is this what should I just be a manager at Starbucks and get sweet benefits and, like, go on vacation? Like, this is a lot of work." I mean, I love it. Like, I love what I do, but, like, you know what I mean? It's hard to or, like, someone's mad and wants a refund, and they're complaining, and you're just like, "This actually sucks." Like, this isn't fun at all. How do you stay motivated? Do you have any secrets?
Well, again, I often think about this, like what would be my dream life? And it really is a teacher's schedule to have summers off every holiday, every weekend. I mean, I dream about that. I haven't had a weekend off and I don't know when.
Mhm.
But so to kind of make up for that, when you own your own business, just the freedom of, yes, I could take a weekend off if I really wanted to, and there's just no pressure at work on do I have to come in early? Do I have to stay late? There's just nobody looking over your shoulder. Early on, when I was like one of my first jobs, I was working and I did a great job. They called me in. You're the best. We love it. We new managers, the new owners came in. We think you're doing great. And then like 2 days later, they called me and say, "Hey, we're letting you go." So that feeling of just like, like, oh my God, it doesn't matter how good or bad, they can just let you go. I just never wanted that feeling again.
Yeah.
So by owning your own business, you'll never be surprised and be let go. You might have your sales go down and you might go out of business, but you'll see it and you'll know it for weeks and months. So
Yeah.
just that pressure off of my mind is kind of worth it all to me.
I agree, like, not having to ask off to go be, like, a chaperone for my daughter's school. Like, it's little
Right.
stuff, but I'm like, "That's luxury." I used to have to, like, call in someone to cover my class so I could go to the bathroom when I was a
Yeah.
teacher. Like, it was no freedom, you know? You
Right.
get one
Right.
personal day a year, and they don't approve it, and you're just like, "Okay."
Yeah. So that's
Blenda,
my
do you I know
motivation.
I know, Blenda, you you are motivated by money. You're motivated on a lot that sales number.
And I
Like,
don't think it's money. I'm not looking to buy. I'm motivated to get all the customers. Like, I'm
okay.
very competitive because I want to do better. I'm definitely friendly with competitors, but I want to earn the business. Like, I want somebody to come to us versus going there. It's just truly
Mhm.
competitive. I don't even
Yeah.
understand it. It's not, I'm truly not, I'm probably need to know the numbers a little more. And I meet with Elizabeth and she tells me, and, it's positive and I move on. Like, I'm not stuck, but I am, um, motivated by one thing that has switched and it's really helped us scale is we really focus on our average sale.
Mm,
And we are also a Balloon Planet partner, and $100, $200 delivery will bring that down. So we really try to focus on, where, and when we first started really tracking it, probably right at COVID, we were probably $250 average sale. And now we're closer to 900,
that's
which is
awesome.
substantially way easier to get those numbers up. So it's important for McKenna, our sales girl, to consistently upsell. And so
Mm,
those little things really make a big difference over a period of time.
yeah. Aaron, how about you? What keeps you motivated?
I just really like coming to work. I feel like I've built a business where I love to be, and I've made our warehouse my happy place, and I've made my team my friends in a way, you know? So I'm highly motivated to keep going because I want to be here and I want everyone to show up wanting to be here too. And so I make it a place where people want to be. And I don't know. I just really love my job.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
I
awesome.
definitely have felt burnout before, but I just I really love what I do. So I don't know. I think, if you get to be the boss of your own business and the boss of your own life, then why not create it to be exactly what you want it to be? I mean, I'm
Mhm.
sitting in an office with wallpaper that's pictures of squirrels in New York City. I have free will and I get to make this place what I want it to be. And so I don't know. I love coming to work because I've
Yeah,
made it a place I love to be. So
that's awesome.
So,
Brian, how about you? Any secret
uh,
motivation?
secret to staying motivated. That's my secret. I'm not. Um, so no, Brian dishes about the time he lost $121,000. Hey, now Brian's motivation on work. I have been blessed to be in this job for 22 years. I'm sitting in a house that's all paid off. I've got a building that's worth $650,000 that someday I will be able to sell and put into a trust fund for my disabled daughter so that she is taken care of for life. I've got a wife, we get to work together. That's great. My motivation, if when I have it, is taking care of my crew. I don't care about parties. I don't care about I like making cool balloons, but I don't care whether that product launch goes well or not. I care about providing an awesome job for a bunch of people at my studio. So doing good by them is the motivation, and also being able to support nonprofits by donating balloons to a select group of nonprofits that are close to my heart. That is the meaning that I get from the job. But if I could snap my fingers right now, which I can't, I literally cannot snap my fingers. If I could snap my fingers, I would quit, go back to school, study medicine. My
Oh,
daughter has a
really?
rare
Yeah.
genetic disorder, and I'm 41 years old. It's too late to go be a researcher, a doctor, a PhD, but I am 41 years old with a successful business, and I am stuck there. And there are much, much worse places to be stuck, and also tie that to my true interest, which is learning science and communicating. So maybe someday I will get a general manager, get the ability to transition out. Maybe I will just work every May through September rush and work my 60 hours a week going crazy all summer and then take a sabbatical every winter. I don't know. I'm still
Yeah.
working out how to make those things happen, but
Well, and I think
motivation? No, I don't care.
just like owning your own business, it gives you options. I mean, money, it gives you it gives you options.
Yeah,
It opens
exactly.
Mhm.
doors and you have the freedom. Well, if I would say the average podcast listener is between 30 and $200,000. I mean, that's a big range, but I would say they're either kind of dabbling in full time or want to be full time, or they're a solopreneur, or they have like one, maybe two employees, right? Like we're talking to
Yeah.
small businesses. Let's wrap up and just do a a a real small piece of advice, something you wish someone had told you when you were that size.
All right, I'll go first. I guess you have to decide early on, again, how involved you want to get in it, and you have to get some help. I think just to try to do everything by yourself is where you're going to get burnout too quick, too fast. You always think you can't afford it, but you really can't afford not to. You have to get staff, even if it's just working 10 hours a week. I always had, it was Marlene and I. So there was always two people from the very beginning. So, yeah, I think to be just one person, I think I would just try to look for that person to help out as soon as you can. With open availability, and they're out there. The perfect person is out there. You just have to keep looking.
Linda, how about you?
I 100% agree. And I remember years ago, before I hired pretty early because I was working another job. And so I had a full time person working for me while I was working another job. But I always wanted to know that magic number. How much, and I'm curious, I'd love to say, Aaron, how much are you going to pay that? How do you budget for this person? But there's no really magical number, but I promise you, once you hire them, you're gonna get a return on them, and you are gonna take stuff off your plate,
Mhm.
and you're gonna end up making money, and it's just the whole business cycle. And something that I actually learned from Chris, and he always says, if you buy the van, you're going to fill it up and take it. So just keep buying vans until you can't afford to buy any more vans. And so if you have the employee, you're going to work them. And if you have the van, you're going to fill it up and you're going to take more jobs because you have that person in the van. So it's a little bit of the mindset that goes with it. And so don't operate out of fear. Just try it. And if it doesn't work out, you can always pivot.
Yeah.
Nice. Brian, how about you? What advice would you give baby Brian?
I I I took the good thing is I kind of took this own advice when I was starting out. My folks were very worried when I was a college student, spending all this money buying balloons so that I could entertain in restaurants and stuff. And they're like, Brian, you go through hobbies pretty quick. Don't spend all your money. Don't invest too much here because you might move on to something else. And I said, I like doing this. So I invested in lots of twisting balloons when I was twisting. I invested in buying people's companies, their inflators, their stock of balloons. We invested in vans, of course, are huge, but just buying the foil balloons with that mindset of I'm going to use these someday. We've invested year over year knowing that it doesn't matter what I make this year. It's what, and literally this is on our company DNA, is it doesn't matter what I make this year. It matters what I'm making 5 years from now. And
Mm,
so we continue to invest and continue to buy more materials, buy more training, keep the crew happy. And it has just led to those dividends really ramping up over time. And
nice.
also
That's a
I
great one.
and then also just take care of the crew. Obviously that's the thing I want to do. I go, man, can I afford to give everybody a raise this year? I would love to give everybody a raise this year. Can I do it? And by having that crew first mentality, it means that of our crew of 6 people, we've only got one who's been there for under 2 years. Everybody else has been with us for 3 or 4 years. They don't make the mistakes anymore. I don't have to answer the questions and retrain people. So that's another thing, is just take care of your crew so that they stick around so that you can keep making that money.
Nice. And Aaron, let's finish with you, and then we will wrap up so this old lady can go to bed. For the
Trying to
record, it is
think
8
of good
o'clock
advice.
at night, and it might as well be 2 a.m. I'm a
That is
sad old
so
mom.
funny, 'cause I will probably see the clock at 2 AM. I'm a night owl. Advice I would give baby Aaron, it's hard to really, like, sum it all up, but I do feel like I identify a lot with what Brian, says. I'm very much a people first person, so I think investing in my team has been very important to me. I have a team of 13, and I would say probably 4 or 5 of them are weekend only people. But I love my team so much. I've had many people with me since 2021, 2020 even. And yeah, building a team that you value and love and trust has been a very important thing. Hiring the right people, I think, is the biggest thing. And getting a van sooner than you think.
Mhm.
Get a
Yeah.
van
I
way
Yep.
second
sooner.
that one. As a non-million-dollar business, I also agree. I should have gotten mine probably like 2 years before I did because
Yeah.
like Chris said, you feel it. Like it's magic. It's
Yep.
overnight. You have the space and you sell bigger
Mhm.
stuff and you do more jobs
Mhm.
and it's
And
magical.
sometimes a van seems more approachable than a space outside your home. I outgrew the space that I had in my home quicker than I felt I could get a van for whatever reason. And I could have gotten a van sooner and inflated things and then like stored them in the van,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely think I could have gotten one sooner, and now we have 3. So yeah, I think get the van sooner than you think.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. And again, like none of you are benefiting anything from this. You're just helping us peasants who are just trying our best to grow. But I
Thank
really,
you
really
for all
appreciate
you
it.
do. Thank
What
you
was
Yes,
for
that?
thank you,
having thank
Sarah.
you for all you do.
Oh, well, I just get
Oh,
to ask
yeah.
nosy questions and get the answers. But thank you. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We will link in the show notes all of your websites and Instagrams if people want to go out and stalk you because they should. Your businesses are all incredible. And thank you so much.